the senior envoy for northern Iraq's Kurds who have spent years honing their military skills under the tutelage of Canadian Special Forces, is calling on the Trudeau government to intervene in a growing conflict between the ethnically distinct minority and Baghdad. Fala Mustafa Bakir visits Canada on Friday for the annual Halifax International Security Forum, where he plans to ask Defence Minister Harjit Sajjan and other Canadian officials to help mediate tensions in northern Iraq over a referendum in which Kurds voted to separate. Mr. Bakir, who is also pleading for help from other Western governments, says the Kurds feel somewhat forgotten by international allies now that Baghdad is taking steps to assert control of northern Iraq. After all, it was the Kurds, he notes, that halted the march of Islamic State jihadi across Iraq while Baghdad government forces collapsed, removing their uniforms and abandoning their positions. Story continues below advertisement. We have played a major role in the fight against Islamic State, but it seems some people have forgotten this, the envoy, who is foreign minister in the Kurdish regional government, KRG, said in a phone interview. Mr. Bakir arrives in Canada with a warning, saying if the international community does not assume a role in this dispute, it could lead to chaos that opens the door for extremist forces to re-emerge in Iraq, create more displaced persons and refugees, and disrupt the flow of petroleum from the country. I believe the international community has a responsibility, he said, adding that, unless checked, this instability will provide room for terrorism and extremism to expand. It would lead to another wave of displacement and migration, and affect energy supplies. The request for help puts Canada in an awkward position. Beginning in November of 2014, it spent nearly 3 years providing military assistance to the Kurdish fighters known as the Peshmerga, training and advice that have helped sharpen fighting skills that could one day be turned against Baghdad if an amicable peace cannot be reached. Mr. Bakir also said the Kurds would welcome more humanitarian aid to handle the tide of people displaced during the Islamic State's drive through the region, and to develop the governing capacity of the KRG. The semi-autonomous Kurdish region governed by the KRG was a chief bulwark against the spread of Islamic State militants in 2014. It played a central role in helping arrest the group's advance and driving many of the jihadi from Iraq. Other Western powers also offered the Kurds training and strategic advice during this period. Story continues below advertisement. Story continues below advertisement. The independence vote in late September has strained the Kurds' relations with Baghdad and allies. The KRG said nearly 93% voted in favor of sovereignty in what it billed as a non-binding referendum. In mid-October, forces loyal to Baghdad seized territory held by the Kurds, including the oil-rich city of Kirkuk, a move interpreted as dealing a blow to Kurdish intentions to strike out as a separate country. The forces acting for Baghdad included Iraqi government troops and Shia militias whom Mr.